So hi everybody and welcome to this week's video of RBX Excel videos. In this video I'm going to tell you all about the form function in Excel to enter data, change data or search for data in your table. It's not standard on the ribbon, so I don't think many people know about this function and you don't need VBA for this. If you like the video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. So in this video I'm going to tell you all about the standard form in Excel. You can use a user form using Visual Basic and program it, but that's much more complicated. Too complicated for most Excel users, I think. And Excel has this new built-in function to use a form when working with a table with data. And I'm going to show you how to work with that. Some time ago it was necessary to format your data as a table to use this form, but that's not necessary anymore. But I want to recommend everybody to use this table function when working with these kinds of data. So I'm going to first make a table of my data. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Click somewhere in your data, go to the Insert tab on your ribbon and click Table. You can do the same when I click Cancel here. You can do the same with the short key Ctrl-T. I get the same option. My table has headers, you can see them in here in the top, and I'm going to click OK. Well, I created a table for my data, and you see Excel is changing the formatting with the blue lines. And I don't want that, so when I have my active cell in my table, I can go to the table design, and at the table styles, I can click this button, and I'm going to say none. So I don't want format changing. So I have my original formatting back. Well, we created this table and now can use the form. I can show you how to do that. Well, the form option is not a default option on your ribbon. So I think most people did not see this option before. I'm going to show you how to find this option. Just go to your search menu and type form. You can see the option in here. I can click it and you see I have this beautiful form with all the column headers in here and you see all the data. When you want to use this form more often, I recommend you, I will close this, I recommend you to add it to your quick access toolbar. And you can just do that by searching for form. You see the option in here and you can right click and you can click add to quick access toolbar. Click it and you see your option for the form in your quick access toolbar. The form option only works when your active cell is in your table. I can show you when my active cell is outside my table. I can click the option for the form, but Excel says this can't be applied to the selected range. Click OK, place your active cell in your table, click the form button again and you get your form. So what can you do with this form? Well, you can navigate through all the records in your table. You can go up and down with Find Next and Find Previous. You can see this is the second of 17 records. The next one is the third, and you see all the information for that record. So you can navigate through the records and you can change something. I can change the date of birth, for example, to 4/5/2001. And I can show you that this date will change when I press enter. When you're changing this date of birth to example to 7/5 and you realize I made an error, I don't want to change it, I can click the restore button and the original value will appear. You can only do this before you press enter to confirm your new information in your table. You can also add a new record to your table. So I can click the new button and I will type all the information a little bit faster. And when I entered all my data, I can just press my enter key to add this record to my table. Just press enter and you see Excel added a new record to my table. So this way you can use the form to add a new data. Well, I can also show you that you can use data validation. And for that I'm going to close this window and let's say I want the date of birth always to be a date between 1950 and 2010. So I can select this column in my table, go to the Data tab on your ribbon, click Data Validation, and you can say I only want to allow a date. It must be between 1/1/1915 and 1/1/2010. I can also add an error alert. Enter between 1950 and 2010. Click OK. And now I can show you when I open my form again, I want a new record and I'm gonna type a date of 1/1/1940, which is outside of the range which is allowed for my data validation. I can press enter and you see I get a message enter between 1950 and 2010. I can click retry 1/1/1960, press enter, and this is okay. It added it to my table. So you see my data validation also works with this form, and that's a very nice feature of Excel. Well, I'm gonna close this. Well, I deleted this record with only the date, and I want to show you another thing. When I use my form to add a new record, I'm gonna type the information a bit faster. I entered my data and my date of birth is outside the range for the data validation. And now look what happens when I press enter. I press enter, you see all the information until the date is put in my table. But my date is not valid. It needs to be between 1950 and 2010. I can click retry and I'm gonna say 1916, which is a valid date. I press enter and you see only the date, the department and the function is entered. Because it already entered all the other information and it is gone because my data validation for the date was not right. So I need to go back to my record and add this information again, or else my table will not be complete. Press enter and now my table is complete. So you need to keep that in mind when you use data validation and you enter a date, for example, outside the range. I also want to show you another thing with the form. I open my form again and I can toggle between criteria and form in here. And when I click on criteria, I can search for a record. I can search for all records with the state California. When I press enter, you see record 4 of 19 as Oscar Jones, which lives in California. I can go to find next. It's record 7 of 19. It's also the state of California. And I can find all the records with the state California. So I can search for records with my form. And I want to show you also another thing. I can use the greater than, equal or less than criteria. I can start a new search and I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to the date of birth and it needs to be greater than 1/1/1980. And I can find all the records with a date of birth greater than 1988. I can find next, find next, find next. You see all the records with a date of birth after 1980. And that's also an option in this form. Well, maybe you saw another thing. The last thing I want to explain you. You see the full name is a value which you cannot change in the form. And I can show you why. I can close my form. That's because I used a formula to create this information in my table. So it just puts the first name and the last name together. So it's a formula which creates this value and it's not to be changed with the form. That's the reason why it was gray and you cannot change it. So that's all I wanted to tell you about the form function in Excel. I hope you learned a lot and that you can use your own form in your data table. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. Thanks for watching.